meie oleme Eesti ELS ühingu juhatuse
Hello,
liikmed Elis
we are the members of board of the Estonian Elis Syndrome Association, Miia Kattel and Elis Riin. We would like to tell you about the syndrome and the founding of this foundation. To begin with, I'd like to give you a quote. This is a quote that is taught to US medical students. When you hear hoofbeats, think horses, not zebras. I am the member of the board of the association, but I'm also a medical student. And we are also being taught that we should first consider common diseases, not rare diseases. But let's have a look at one of these zebras, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. It's a bit of an umbrella term, which includes, based on the 2017 classification, 13 subtypes, but now we actually have the 14th as well. Here you can see all the subtypes. Our association also represents the hypermobile disorder, which is officially not part of the syndrome, but has similar symptoms. Here you can see that many of the subtypes are very rare. Today we are focusing on the hypermobile subtype, which is the most common ones. This is the only subtype without a known genetic marker, and the diagnosis based on clinical criteria. Here you can see some criteria that are used to assess hypermobility. Hypermobility syndrome accounts for 80 to 90% of all EDS cases. Every subtype have their own symptoms. Three main symptoms that are characteristic to all subtypes are joint hypermobility, skin hyperextensibility and fragility, and also tissue fragility. As connective tissue is found throughout the entire body, EDS can affect multiple organ systems. Here you can see the list of different symptoms and comorbidities that can occur with EDS. So you can see how multisystemic disease it is. Hi from me as well. My name is Miia Kattel. I am also a founder of the association. I am 22 years old, but I've reached a stage in my life where I need to adjust my life according to the conditions of EDS. I was diagnosed with the syndrome last year. The first signs of it appeared in the kindergarten. The teacher said that I had a huge need for sleep. Also, I had characteristics of ADHD. What were considered to be my personal traits were actually parts or symptoms of the EDS. I constantly told my mom that it was painful for me to stand, and I usually chose to sit down because it didn't hurt. This is due to joint instability. When my mom told the doctor about this, my doctor said, oh, she will grow out of it, but I didn't. When I studied at the university, I also felt different. I noticed that I had autistic traits. It was difficult for me to study, to participate in lectures. In hindsight, I've understood that this was due to different problems that occur with EDS. Because I was hypermobile, I was told that I should do different sports, but it didn't work out for me. In time, also physical differences became apparent. For example, hyperflexible skin and others. I started looking for help in 2020s when the symptoms became worse. I had went to the doctor before, but my symptoms were put down to psychological matters and anxiety. My partner back then, who was a medical student, who started suspecting some other problem. Mostly he suspected POTS syndrome. I started doing research into these syndromes. I thought I had POTS and also MCAS syndrome. I turned to my GP. I had to ask the doctor for referrals, and the doctor gave them to me, but he didn't really take me seriously and thought that I was really anxious to get a referral, and I was just really anxious about my health. I had to make an effort to be heard. I remember that after every doctor's appointment, I came home and said that I couldn't do it anymore. I was crying. In 2024, I had an anaphylactic shock-like episode. This was probably due to cold air. When I went from a warm room to cold air, I couldn't breathe properly. I got cold sweat. I didn't have time to, I hoped that it would pass, but it didn't. When I called my mom, I told her that I couldn't breathe, so she asked for help. The ambulance got to me in 30 minutes because they thought it wasn't life-threatening, that it was due to anxiety. They thought that I had had a panic attack. I figured out later that actually this was due to the effect of propanol and cold air. But what hurt me the most was the way that people didn't believe me. I was ready to suffocate. If only I didn't have to go to a doctor anymore. My partner told me that I should approach the rare disease center of the Tartu University Hospital. I filled in the application and I went to meet the doctor at the competence center. I was very anxious and I was ready for another negative experience. But actually, this was the first time when I heard that somebody really listened to me and really wanted to help me. There was a thorough clinical examination, and I understood that they were suspecting EDS. It was difficult to believe that I had reached this place. I had read about EDS when I'd read about POTS syndrome. So I was wondering how I hadn't figured it out before. But when you have lived with all these symptoms throughout your life, then you start thinking that this is what normal life is like. And maybe I wasn't making enough of an effort. When your symptoms are minimized throughout your life, then at one point you fail to understand what is normal and what is not. After I gave a blood sample and after I'd waited for 3 months, I received my answer. The diagnosis was confirmed based on clinical criteria, hypermobile EDS. It gave me relief. I understood that I wasn't imagining my symptoms. I thought that the diagnosis would change the attitude of the system. I was wrong. Yes, I can stand up for myself better now, and I won't have the doctors putting all my symptoms down to my anxiety anymore, but it's still difficult. It's a full-time job getting the necessary help. My experience showed me how many patients are left alone inside the system and how low the awareness is. Last year, I created the Estonian EDS support group on Facebook. We have many members now. I also shared information about EDS online. I also wrote an article about my experience, which was chosen as one of the best articles last year. I was also one of the founding members of the EDS Association, We have a website and social media channels. We started admitting the members, official members last year. We also cooperate with the world's largest EDS association. In spring, we want to join the EDC Global Alliance. This is an international network that supports R&D and developing of international treatment guidelines. So here you can see our website. You can go and have a look. In Estonia, we don't have an official treatment guideline. We lack a full picture of the disease. This means that the patient is often their own treatment coordinator. It's difficult to find competent doctors. There is lack of official knowledge. It often comes down to the specific doctor's ability to read on the disease. Some medicines that are used to treat EDS are not accessible in Estonia. It's also difficult to assess workability and disability. The patient's actual condition is not described in the diagnosis, and this affects the results of the evaluation. We could use a multidisciplinary approach. This would improve access to treatment, and it would make the patient's lives easier. In addition to developing the medical system, we would create a strong network and strong community so that no person with EDS would be left alone, and the patients shouldn't have to be their own advocates and their own doctors. We also conducted a survey among our group members. We have 32 replies by now, 32 responses. And one of the questions was, if you had to describe your journey by 3 words, then what would this be? And they said that these 3 words would be exhausting, long, and medical gaslighting. So to conclude, that sometimes when you hear hoofbeat, it really is a zebra. Yes, rare diseases are rare, but there are altogether very many patients with rare diseases. When you're a medical worker, a social worker, you're a family support person, we would like to remind you that there is a story behind every diagnosis. Thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, please let us know. Thank you very much. Are there any people in the audience who would like to ask a question from these ladies? There is a hand. Okay, there's the microphone. Thank you so much for the lovely presentation. And thank you for describing the medical gaslighting. At the development conference of the university hospital, I asked what we should do with the patients that nobody wants to examine. All the specialists say that this is not my patient. Then one of the professors said that you should send them to a doctor. So what do you think? Who could be the medical specialist who would keep an eye on the progress of the disease of such a patient? I would say that firstly, we should raise the awareness of GPs. A GP should be the person who detects the symptoms so that the patient would receive the diagnosis. This should be the responsibility of the family doctor. We both have experience with doctors of internal medicine. We haven't received a lot of support there. Also, rheumatologists should be on board as well. What do you think, Miia? Yes, I do agree. In the survey as well,
kahtlustav, haigust kahtlustav, EDS-i kahtlustav isik siiski patsient ise.
Usually the person who suspects the EDS diagnosis is the patient themselves. When it has been a doctor, then in half of the cases it's been the GP, in half of the cases it has been a geneticist or a rheumatologist. So the rheumatologist should be on board. Are there any other questions from the audience? I have a comment. One important thing when we speak about the rare diseases is the quality of health data, especially when it comes to the assessment of workability. And also the expert doctors who work at the Social Insurance Board, they don't have a lot of knowledge on rare diseases. So this might be one of the reasons why the assessment of work ability of a patient isn't or doesn't match the actual condition of the patient. So all the complaints that the patient has should be documented in the medical records. And I would like to tell all the medical specialists as well to very carefully document everything, all symptoms in the medical records of the patients. Then I have a couple of questions. Your association has very specific goals. Do you think that you have achieved some of these goals, or have you made any steps in the right direction? I would say that when I received my diagnosis a long time ago, I felt completely alone. I didn't have anybody else. But now people have other people who have the same problem. They can share their experiences. They can support each other. And I think that we have a community by now. This is a big thing. I agree. When I was diagnosed, then the only materials in Estonian that I had were prepared by Elisa. So, and I also contacted Elis through the geneticist. Otherwise, I wouldn't have found a person with the same diagnosis. And this is why I started the Facebook group. If the association could ask something from the Santa, so what is your biggest wish? Something that you would like to be, something that you would like to ask from the Santa, then what would it be? Awareness. Raising awareness, both among the medical staff and common people. Minimizing patient symptoms is not fair. And also, when we speak about the hypermobility subtype, then now we speak about it as a rare disease, but actually it might be very common. It's just underdiagnosed. Are there any questions from the audience? Since we are speaking about patient organizations and empowering them, then do you also plan to join EURORDIS to be part of the European umbrella organization? Yes, we have discussed different possibilities. Yes, we have spoken about EURORDIS. We have also discussed matters with the Estonian Chamber of People with Disabilities and also other European organizations. Thank you very much. The founders of the EDS Association, Miia Kattel and Elis Riin.